Right? Stephen Miller, can we all just, Republicans and Democrats in the crowd, can we all just admit he needs to calm the down? He needs to calm down. Stephen Miller cannot stop talking about evil, left-wing, violent Democrats and Antifa, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Antifa is not a thing. I don't know if you know that, but it is made up. It is a boogeyman that they won't stop going on about. They have everything. They're still going on about the mainstream media. The mainstream media is irrelevant. They have everything. They have the presidency, the Supreme Court, the Senate, the Congress. When will it end? I know. When Ghislaine Maxwell is the head of the Department of Education, finally, this nightmare will be over.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The dude on your screen will quite literally never, ever calm down.
Yesterday on fake news CNN, I had what is medically known as a Nazi glitch when I said the words plenary authority. Excuse me. Plenary authority just states that President Führer can invade Portland and Chicago and crush the blacks and the browns and the damn hippies, those damn hippies. Excuse me. You see, my journey as Stephen Miller began in Santa Monica, California. When I was 16 years old, a brown guy threw a burrito at my head, knocking all my hair off, turning me into this monster that will have vengeance upon the Latinos and any minority and any liberal.
Because this is just who he is.
And we can't forget White House Senior Advisor Stephen Miller, the reported architect of this final immigration solution. Stephen Miller has a face that says punch me and a forehead that says add space available. No one has ever looked more like they're banned from a zoo. Stephen Miller couldn't comment on the children being separated from their parents. He was too busy breathing in their screams so he could live for another 200 years.
And while the comedians do have their laughs, which are needed,
the whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad.
That sounds like some National Park revisionism. Doesn't say anything about speaking English or being able
to... Can I call you Jim?
Be a computer programmer.
Certainly during times like these, with Pauly Shore doing bits, portraying Stephen Miller for Funny or Die.
If Pete Hegseth had a 200 IQ, his IQ is probably 40. I don't know, maybe there's certain domestic pets that are smarter than Pete Hegseth. But if his IQ was Stephen Miller, he would have been fired in 5 minutes because Trump would never be able to handle that. Pam Bondi's a woman, and so his women have to look Barbie-esque. I'm just trying to explain to people what Trump's personality is like, because Stephen Miller is a very smart guy. I think he's evil, and I think he's a nefarious guy, and I think he's a mean guy, and I think he's a very repressed guy psychologically, but he would not have Trump's ear if he had the looks of Pete Hegseth and the brain of Stephen Miller. Bye-bye.
Former Trump official Anthony Scaramucci also spoke of the man.
Stephen Miller is a dweeb. I don't see the guy as homecoming queen at the high school. And notice I put the emphasis on queen. And he looks like an unseeded chia pet. You know what I mean? Like the hair didn't grow in, and he's got that bulbous face, and he's sort of a ridiculous character, and he's not telegenic.
He's sort of like, slightly got a sort of serpenty look about him.
All right, the country's run by these completely incompetent dorks. I'm talking the dorkiest people you've ever encountered in your life that you think, God, he's such a dork and he's such a freak. One of those guys' name is Stephen Miller, and he has unprecedented power as the convicted felon president's chief policy advisor. And so here is Miller right here, and he has been priming the American public for the Insurrection Act. This is so incredibly dangerous. And to all of the Supreme Court justices, the 6 that are around with this in this administration, you'll find out, because just like the Latinos for Trump have found out, at some point, their knives get aimed at you. Tim Cook is going to find this out. Sam Altman is going to find this out. Scott Bessent is going to find this out. These are the 3 gay people that have capitulated and or are serving this administration, at some point the knives will get turned on you. They are priming the public for a military takeover. That they want martial law. They do not have any intention on leaving office, and they plan to do everything in their power to prevent the 2026 midterms.
The IHP ladies lay it out better than most. They will not leave office. They will do everything in their power to remain.
I don't know anyone personally that if you took Stephen Miller, isolated, and you played a clip of the things that he says.
Every day we arrest another alien they let into this country who raped a child, who beat a woman.
Quote, all the kinky-haired, swarthy-skinned, long-despised phantoms, all the teeming ants toiling for the white man's comfort.
And his little physical demeanor, and not be able to say, there's something up about that mother. However, how do you identify and change the mind of someone who is so ignorant that they cannot discern between a fact and an outright lie?
If you could only eat one condiment for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One condiment?
Yeah.
Does barbecue sauce count?
Yeah.
Okay, barbecue sauce.
Not mayonnaise?
No. Now, mayonnaise is like, in low doses is good, but it's kind of, like, I had a buddy who used to eat French fries with mayonnaise. I thought that was disgusting.
It's the only thing my husband eats.
With French fries or like period?
Period.
Okay. Wow. I didn't realize.
He's only a mayonnaise guy.
Okay. I learned something about Steven I didn't know.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, so look, I think this is rather simple. And for any people who sees Stephen Miller as anything but normal, you need to make an appointment with someone to check your eyes, because you have no vision for what this country is going through. And there were two slip-ups now that Stephen Miller has made. The first was Plenary Authority basically stating that Donald Trump is an authoritarian. We've never heard them outright say this until then. And the second was when he was talking about his own immigration policies, which we know he is running the playbook on. And he actually said in an interview, if I send troops to Chicago, which was a slip of the tongue, because again, we would think if the president sends troops to Chicago, he actually said I. It is so revealing. And it is also something that we have known for some time, not just about Stephen Miller, but about those who are pulling the strings, because Donald Trump is motivated through a few different avenues. The one thing is money. That's it. That's all that he wants to do. He wants to make as much money as possible, even though he is dwarfed by the next trillionaire. He's making boatloads of money, and that is what he's motivated by. Racism, of course. He's a bigot. But money. That is the number one thing. And if it comes through racism, he's no problem whatsoever. We know about this. It's also pretty interesting that Stephen Miller is incredibly weird, and how Democrats have ditched the entire "they are very weird" line because the DNC told Tim Walz to stop doing it in the run-up and during the election. That was insane. And I believe Donald Trump even has, according to the Daily Beast, had an old nickname for Stephen Miller, and I believe it was Weird. And I just want to double check this. I had it. The Daily Beast writes it was updated 2025, June of 2025, that Trump has a secret nickname for Stephen Miller, according to a biographer. And the quote is, there is an awareness that Stephen Miller is a problem. And even Trump calls him Weird Stephen, because he is weird, by the way. I mean, you can't spend a moment with him and say, oh, nothing's off here. This is from Michael Wolff, the biographer. The next paragraph reads, when host Joanna Coles presented him on why Miller earned the nickname, Michael Wolff would explain as follows. He doesn't make eye contact, and then he talks to you in this monotone voice, and it feels very revvy. You know, the engine of his voice keeps going, and you kind of step back. He is weird. He is weird. He's a weird guy. Odd. Katie Miller, odd. But they bond over bigotry. That is how they do it. Look up the ways that they have both contributed to white nationalism. That is the Venn diagram. That is the intersection of the Venn diagram right there. That is the middle part. That is what they bond over. This whole like Katie Miller podcast thing, also incredibly weird. Just keep doing it. She got embarrassed by Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone on Piers Morgan. Do more of that too.